It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and Jerel Hendricks.
Welcome in to Movin the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our state championship weekend recap show brought to you by Folly Road. Jerel, we did our live recap show this week already on Tuesday night. You had a lot of good viewers hop in and kind of get their thoughts, but you and I wanted to go a little more in depth on that great weekend of champions, man. We had 3 games come down to the wire, a 4th game that was pretty competitive and tight as well. Only 1 blowout. Just a fantastic weekend of ball games down in Orangeburg.
Yeah, Kev, I don't think we could have asked for better games than what we saw this weekend. You know, obviously had the 1 blowout, but those games on Saturday, I mean, you had 2 games decided by 3 points. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. Started on Thursday with a moderate upset. Went into Friday, like you said, saw 1 bad one, but 1 really competitive game. And then Saturday, you know, just culminated, you know, a great high school football season in the Palmetto State. But yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. I really enjoyed our time down in Orangeburg.
No doubt about it. If you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Throughout the season, we do a weekly preview show. Comes out on Tuesday nights live on Facebook and YouTube. We do a weekly recap show that comes out on the podcast platform, usually on Sunday throughout the season as well. We do a scoreboard show, Friday Night Spaces on Friday nights over on Twitter. So it's a lot of fun as well. And then we have, throughout the offseason, we'll have coach interviews, reclassification stuff, coaching carousel, so all kinds of great stuff. Maybe some historical shows talking about some of the best teams and players from back in the day. So a lot of good stuff. So definitely don't tune us out just that the season is over now. But if you haven't yet, check out our Movin the Chains merch. We got posted on our social media pages. You can send us an email at mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. We've got Richardson hats, Yupong hats, all different colors. We've got great toboggans / beanies, gray and black, a gray hoodie, a white hoodie, really good looking stuff. Jerel, we were wearing ours all weekend long. Got several compliments. Had a couple people who wanted to buy some right then. So it was really neat to kind of get out there and show the folks our merch. Because I mean, it's not just, you know, you're buying something to support a little group, which I mean, you certainly are, but it's good stuff. It's high quality stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go get some Richardson hats. Like you said, Yupong hats, toboggans, everything that you can. The hoodies, I mean, I wear my hoodies all the time, you know, not just on Friday nights. Definitely going to get a lot of use out of them, you know, in the winter months. You know, holidays coming up soon, you know, go ahead and get you a gift for the holiday season. And also, too, not just our merch. Check out that Folly Row merch. Get some stuff for Christmas for there, too. It'll be spring before you know it. You guys will be out on the golf course. I know a lot of people like you, hardcore, y'all golf in the wintertime, too. So got some quarter zips for those people. But, yeah, definitely check out the merch. Support the brand. Support the boys. It's good-looking stuff, quality stuff, and allows us to continue to cover this state in total.
Let's give a quick shout out to some friends of the program before we break down the weekend of champions.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Let's start down in 2A, Jerel. The Thursday night matchup, 7 o'clock. The Gray Collegiate War Eagles out of the upper state taking on the Oceanside Collegiate Land Sharks out of the lower state. A game that both of us kind of missed, honestly, on the preview show last week. You know, we thought Gray Collegiate was the favorite and we were going to win that game. But, man, Coach Wilkes and the Land Sharks had some other ideas. Started off, couldn't have been any worse for Oceanside Collegiate or any better for Gray Collegiate, that is. A 32-yard touchdown pass from Tyler Waller to Jamarius Lockett caps an opening 70-yard TD drive for the War Eagles. They get a long run by Zy Alford on a reversing first play of the game. They convert a 4th and 2 later on in the drive. They go up 7-0, 9:30 left on that jump ball, kind of the one-on-one coverage there to Lockett. But anyway, on that drive, Oceanside ends up fumbling the ball. Ethan Razor recovers for Gray at the +4. They score one play later, a 4-yard touchdown by B.J. Montgomery. They go up 14-0, 6:26 left, and we kind of felt like the game might be over. Grayson Freeland on the ensuing kickoff return for Oceanside has some problems, kind of bobbles it a little bit, kind of runs sideways, gets back towards the goal line, ends up throwing the ball forward. Illegal forward pass called. The ball gets down.
It was a mess. It was a mess.
The ball is down to the 1-yard line. Some folks were saying on TV it should actually been a safety. I haven't seen a replay, so I don't know. 14-0 with 6:26 left in the first quarter. That score actually holds into the end of the first quarter. Oceanside had a little drive going as we hit the end of the quarter mark. They end up settling for a field goal. The 35-yarder by Nate Sturm goes no good off the right upright with 9:23 left. Gray Collegiate can't get anything going. Oceanside's defense starts kind of locked down, and the offense came alive. A 1-yard touchdown by Will Virgilio puts him on the board. Had several nice passes from Aiden Manavian on the drive. Makes it 14-7, 4:53 left in the second quarter. Oceanside forces a punt right there before the half. They get the ball back at their 40. They drive down, end up throwing a pick in the end zone to Aiden Legger for Gray Collegiate. 8 seconds left as they kind of force it down the field there. And at the half, we had a ball game drill. Gray Collegiate 14, Oceanside Collegiate 7. One that felt like it could have been out of hand early, but the Land Sharks fought back. Defense stepped up big. Offense got some plays going, and it set up for a great second half of action.
Yeah, man, I was sweating. When Gray goes up there, I really thought this game was getting out of hand. I was wrong, man. It won't be the first time this weekend that I was wrong. We start talking about these games, but I thought Gray was going to be able to really take care of business. But then Coach Wilkes just unleashed his freshman assassin there, Aiden Manavian. We saw him last week. He was one of our playoff performers, but he would really get it going in the second half. But you saw the glimpses early on, took some hits. You could see things were moving a little bit fast, but he really settles in, ends up being the difference. But that Land Shark defense, once they got the early bumps and bruises, obviously that first drive is scripted, where they were just able to, see some things. But that, they really bite down. We'll say that. Land Sharks bite down on defense and really get it going, and that will carry them in the second half.
On the first drive of the second half, 35-yard touchdown pass from Aiden Manavian to Gavin Gaspard on a wide receiver screen. They tie it up right off the bat. Jerel 10-13 left, 14 all. They force a 3-and-out. Get a bad snap on the punt, and the punter for Gray Collegiate catches it on a knee. The Land Sharks take over at the +28 with a chance to take a lead. But huge play from the War Eagles defense here on 4th and short. Manavian throws a ball to an open receiver, but he short hops it to him, bounces to him. Big stop for the War Eagles there. And they actually came up, that was probably the biggest play they had defensively all game long, Jerel. Like, they didn't make a lot of stops late in the game, but that was a big one there to kind of keep them in it. But it couldn't have gone any worse right after that. A 24-yard pick six by Max Mormon on a swing pass. Maybe the play of the year that we have seen. Just an unbelievable play out of Mormon. Puts Oceanside up 21-14, 4:58 left in the third quarter. I mean, just talk about that play, Jerel, how special that was, because he read it the whole way, caught it in stride, and just absolutely housed it for just a momentum swinging play there for the Land Sharks.
Well, me, I get excited in the stand, so I jumped up. I'm jumping up like making, just sounds, not actually saying anything coherent, because I was shocked at how good that play was. And then you were speechless. So it was like we had both things going on. One of the best plays I have seen covering high school football. Just perfect timing. Knew the play was coming. You got to attribute that to athleticism and film study, knowing that that's coming there. And not only, just that, I think that's the play that just really, flipped the momentum of this football game and just put it in the Land Sharks' favor. Anytime you get a pick six, you score on defense, that just is such a huge boost to your team. And just an incredible play, a great individual effort by him. But that defense, like we've said, they were the story of this game. More importantly, the story of the second half.
On the ensuing kickoff, Blaine Redmond gets a 50-yard kickoff return for the War Eagles, sets him up for a nice touchdown drive, capitalized with a 26-yard TD pass from Waller to Zion Job, kind of a one-on-one jump ball again. That was a huge answer right there, because we thought the Oceanside with that score, the way the defense was playing, they may could have pulled away with themselves there, but Coach Holmes' squad got off the deck there and got a big score to tie it up 21-all. But Oceanside comes right back. 36-yarder from Monavian to Gavin Gaspar. They go up 28-21 to the end of the third quarter there. The next drive for the War Eagles, Waller has Lockett down the right sideline on 3rd and 8, but overshoots it. They have to punt. Oceanside takes over at their 27. They get to a 4th and 1 around midfield. Oceanside goes for it. Monavian's pass is tipped, intercepted by Justin Pauling. They get the ball at their 39, 9:09 left. Nice drive here for Gray Collegiate, capped off by a 14-yard touchdown by B.J. Montgomery. Makes it 28-all, 5:47 left in the fourth quarter. And this was the drive of the ball game here, Jerel. Oceanside takes over at their 29 with, just over 5:40 left in the ball game. They drive down fairly easily. They get to a 3rd and 1 at the plus 21. They actually have a false start backed up to 3rd and 6 from the 26. 3rd down pass, tipped, incomplete. Oceanside Collegiate with 2:05 left. They line up for the field goal. Would have been a 43-yarder. Coach Holmes, Gray Collegiate, calls timeout. After the timeout, Coach Wilkes changes his mind, sends the offense back out there, and Monavian hits Will Virgilio for a 1st down. He's able to break a couple tackles, get down to the 1-yard line, 1:53 left. He scores a 1-yard touchdown run, I think 2 plays later, to make it 35-28, 1:26 left in the fourth quarter. A play that, we've got it posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages. We've heard some controversy. Was it a fumble? Was he in? I don't know. It's very hard to tell. Obviously, we've only got a phone camera we're using, Jerel, so it's hard to really get a good
They
look
called
at
it a touchdown.
That's right. It was certainly,
that's all that matters.
Certainly very close, but I mean, just a heck of a play call to decide to go for it on 4th down there. He tells us after the ball game they had something safe they knew it was going to work and decided to go ahead and go for it there instead of wait for overtime. And just a heck of a play, heck of a ball by Monavian, heck of a catch and run by Virgilio. Great play call there, and just cap it off with the TD run to give them 35-28 lead. Gray Collegiate, they get a little bit of a drive going though on this next one. They get to the plus 37, 42 seconds left after a couple nice runs by Waller. They get a 1st down to Alford at the plus 25. A flag flies in with 40 seconds left. They go a couple incomplete passes. Comes down to 4th and 9 from the 24, 9 seconds left. Waller scrambles around and fires it out of bounds to the right side. Falls incomplete. Oceanside Collegiate takes over. Oceanside Collegiate kneels it out to win the 2023 2A state championship by a score of 35-28 over Gray Collegiate. Jerel, fantastic ball game. I mean, 2 well-coached teams, 2 very, very talented teams. But I think it really came down to me, 2 words, Aiden Monavian. That freshman quarterback was special, man.
I mean, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And he just just so calm, so collected and cool, and just was, distributing the ball. I mean, we're not talking about a kid that was just, hitting one receiver. I mean, he's hitting multiple guys, throughout this game, reading the zone. That was the big thing for me is I just cannot believe that Gray just never really adjusted defensively. They may have, I'm not the best football mind or anything like that, but it just appeared that they were just okay running a zone. And that kid just sat back there and picked him apart. They didn't really bring pressure on him. Didn't really, make him uncomfortable, and that Oceanside offensive line really held up, gave him time, to make some plays. He was able to, extend some plays sometimes with his legs, but man, it's like you said, 2 words, Aiden Monavian, man. I was so impressed with him. These 27 quarterbacks, they're going to be rising sophomores next year. Got some good ones coming up, especially in the low country. But it was so cool to see that game. What a season for Gray Collegiate. I mean, they went through a gauntlet, in Upper State 2A to get to this point. And, once they beat Strom Thurmond, I was like, man, I think this is the team that's going to win it all. But, Coach Wilkes had that ace up his sleeve in Aiden Monavian, and he picked the perfect time to pull it out in the lower state championship and the state championship game.
The poise he showed was incredible, because we mentioned while you're sitting there, I mean, Gray was getting some pretty good pressure on him, at least early in the game especially, and it was right up the middle too, where he couldn't really step up, into a throw. I think they may have had like 10 sacks. It was like a crazy number, but he stayed back there, stayed calm and cool, and we could really tell in the third quarter he was starting to feel it. He throws a touchdown pass. He goes and poses on the sideline over there. He gets a big scramble for a first down, signals first down afterwards, man. It was really cool to see that the confidence grow throughout the ball game from a Navian there, a kid that's going to be a heck of a threat and a weapon for the next couple of years for Coach Wilkes down there at Oceanside Collegiate, man. Super impressed with those guys. The talent outside. I loved what Virgilio and Gaspar and Moscos, those guys did, catching the ball. And I said it to you during the game. I love how they attack the football. They big hand catches, like they don't let it come to their body. They go get it. They're strong with it. Really cool to see that. You don't see that a whole lot at the high school level, it feels like. So that was super impressive. And then that defense, man, Miles Robinson, stud in the middle, an absolute thumper. Gray Collegiate really only drove the ball, I would say, two nice drives. They had the nice drive to start the first half there, and then that last touchdown drive. The other two were set up at the 4-yard line, where Montgomery runs in after the fumble there, and then the one that starts up at the plus 30 or 40 after the big kickoff return. They only had two really nice long drives against Oceanside. I feel like that defense played really well for Coach Wilkes, and the Land Sharks were flying all over the field there. It's a game of what ifs. You look back, if you're Coach Holmes, if you don't call timeout when Oceanside Collegiate runs the field goal unit out there, like, does he miss it? Does he make it? What happens there? How does that change the ball game? If the ref calls the last touchdown a fumble, that completely flips it. I mean, so many different things could have happened there to adjust that ball game. But I mean, a heck of a win for Oceanside, man. What they've been through this year, losing your senior quarterback in week 10, the leader of your offense, leader of your team, to have Monavian come out and play that way, what was super special. And then also, Ben Britton, their starting defensive lineman and offensive lineman, finds out 10 minutes before the game that he's not able to play due to an off-the-field issue. We'll leave it at that. Crazy to see how that team rallied and played great ball there to win that game. I saw them earlier in the year. I knew their defense was lights out. I knew they were really, really good. But that offense, man, I did not see that coming. I don't think many folks did.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the numbers, like Gray held Oceanside to 17 total rushing yards on 29 attempts. But you got to look, Monavian goes 31 for 43 for 367 and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, the 2 picks there, but kind of inconsequential when they happen. And then you look at the receiving core, you had 3 receivers with 7+ receptions and over 70 yards. I mean, that's distributing the football at a high level. And then you look at that defense for the Land Sharks, they held, BJ Montgomery in check. Offer didn't really get off like we thought he would. Jamarius Lockett, had the one big play, kind of silent. That defense was a big part of the story as well. Defense and the young phenom at quarterback. But I want to give a shout out to Coach Holmes and Gray Collegiate. We talked about Oceanside, the adversity they faced this year. I don't think anybody faced, more adversity, the Gray Collegiate, not knowing if they were going to be able to play a football game after week 4, week 5 of the season, traveling all over the place, making things happen and, really made it shake in the playoffs and just came up a little bit short. But he's a state championship, winning head coach himself. They'll be back and, just the whale of a ball game we saw on Thursday.
Great point, Drew. I think that's, nobody in the history of the state has probably had to go through what Gray Collegiate did this year. I mean, having to find games on the fly like that and travel so much. I mean, even during the COVID times, it wasn't where you're having to go to North Carolina go up to, Virginia and then down to Florida or whatever. Like, you weren't having to do that back then. It's just crazy what they went through, and to get all the way to that state title game was super impressive run for that bunch. And a lot of great players we're going to miss watching, and I'm sure they have a lot of new faces next year too that'll be fun to watch as that team grows and matures. And two of the best coaches in the state, what Coach Holmes and Coach Wilkes do is second to none. It feels like two guys that get it and have been super nice to us. Super appreciate them and what they've done at their programs, done for us over the years. But we've got an interview with Aiden Monavian and Chad Wilkes on our social media pages. Go check those out. Really cool to talk to Aiden. Really cool to hear from Coach Wilkes and get his thoughts on the ball game afterwards. It was a lot of fun down there. But to wrap up that 2A game, Oceanside Collegiate defeats Gray Collegiate 35-28 to win the 2A state title. Jerel, on to the one game that wasn't so competitive this weekend, the 2:00 Friday game, the 1A matchup, a rematch of last year's state title game. That's Christchurch taking on Johnsonville. The game could not have gone any worse for the Flashes right away. I mean, you elect to receive, you get the ball, you throw a swing pass the first play, wide receiver hit and fumbled. Christchurch takes over at the plus 22, 11:53 left. They score about 3 plays later, 18-yard touchdown pass from Tucker Hendricks to Jude Hall, go up 7-0, 11:11 left. They get the ball right back again after a quick stop from the defense, a 52-yard TD run by Deshaun Reeder. They go up 13-0, 9:59 left. They stop Johnsonville again, this time a 60-yard punt return by Jackson Rep. Fields it on the right side, works his way all the way back left down the sideline, go up 20-0, 7:47 left. The Flashes, the Golden Flashes, that is, they do get on the board here. A 1-yard TD run by Neil Martin makes it 20-7, 4:49 left. And here we had a play, Jerel, we thought Johnsonville could get back in this one. Neil Martin hits quarterback Tucker Hendricks on second down, sacks him. The ball comes loose. They scoop it and score on it. He ends up being ruled down. I haven't seen the replay on this one, but some folks are saying it was actually a fumble, Jerel. If so, that makes it 20-14. If that actually happened, would have been a game changer. But he's ruled down. We go to the end of the first, Christchurch up 20-7. And from there, Jerel, the scoring just keeps coming. 11-yarder from Hendricks to Rep, 27-7. Johnsonville, a TD run by Neil Martin on 4th and goal, make it 27-14. 3:38 left in the second quarter. 66-yarder from Hendricks to Reeder on a screen. 34-14 Christchurch. 59-yarder from Hendricks to Rep on a wheel route. 42-14. 23 seconds left in the half, and that is the score at halftime, Jerel. Christchurch just all over it. Too much explosiveness, too much firepower there. And they didn't stop in the third quarter either. A 36-yarder from Hendricks to Luke Baumhofer. 49-14 Cavs. A 7-yarder from Hendricks to Covington. 55-14 Cavs. A 41-yarder from Shippey to Travis Wilson on fourth down. The Flashes get a score there. 55-21, 4:30 left in the third quarter. Had some chippiness in this ball game. Wasn't great for a minute there, but they were able to kind of get through it. The coaches gained control. We had a 15-yarder from Judd Wyndham to Jude Hall. 61-21 Cavs into the third quarter there, and they score one more time, a 2-yarder by Patrick McMaster to make it 67-21 over Johnsonville, and that was the final score. Christchurch 67, Johnsonville 21 to win the 1A state championship.
I can't let you gloss over the last touchdown. That's a big man score right there.
That's
offensive lineman Patrick McMaster getting in there to get that last score. So that was a lot of fun to see, for those who didn't have a dog in the fight and the Christchurch fans. Probably not so much for Flashes fans. But yeah, Kev, I mean, just got out of hand. I mean, it just is what it is. Christchurch, they're fantastic. We talked about it through the majority of this season and definitely into the off season. We thought it was going to come through, Christchurch, Louisville. We know what happened to Louisville in the playoffs. They just didn't show up one of these games, unfortunately, and we never saw that matchup. And Christchurch just rolled through the playoffs. I mean, they just took care of business. They execute. Love talking to their coaches after the game, their players. They said it repeatedly. No one works harder than they do. Everyone likes to pin the fact that they're a private school onto why they win. But you can see the hard work. I mean, we're not talking about them having, it's not like Dutch Fork guys are rolling out there, size of 5A or 4A guys. I mean, these are some smaller kids that just play really, really hard. And, you can just see them execute at a high level. Love that situation you talked about with it was getting a little chippy and things like that. Both coaches on both sides gathering their teams together, settling that stuff down, and getting the game completed, because that's one thing. This was like a 4-hour football game because of all the scoring and things that were going on there. But, just hats off to Christchurch, such a dominant program, but hats off to the Flashes, made a great run through the lower state. We talked about it last night. We talked about it, throughout this. I mean, bad loss. I think it was week 3 against Latta, where they got drubbed, and then they didn't skip a beat the rest of the season. Just a lot of senior leadership, a lot of guys with experience that were used to winning. They did so. Just ran into a buzzsaw on Friday afternoon.
Back-to-back lower state championships for Johnsonville. It's super impressive. A lot of folks don't get to play for one state title. They got to play for 2. Really cool there. And I mean, a lot of guys we enjoyed watching. Obviously, Malik Shippey been a program favorite for a few years for us. Neil Martin, the way he plays at linebacker and running back. I still think he had 2 of the hardest hits I've seen all year on those 2 hits he had on Hendricks early in the game, man. Just absolutely drilled him. He's a baller. Travis Wilson made some big plays for them. Taysom Brown a fun team to watch. Just didn't have quite the firepower that the Coach Cribb and the boys needed to hang with Christ Church. Jackson Rep, I think 3 touchdowns, phenomenal ball game. He is so quick, man. He's fast. He's got that quick twitch stuff, stop and start. He is a playmaker. Deshaun Reeder, we know how good he is. He had another huge game. Can't wait to see him at Northwestern, see what he does at the collegiate ranks. Tucker Hendricks, I mean, the growth that he has shown from week 0 to the state title game, super impressive. A kid that's, coming back next year. They got a lot of talent coming back with him and Rep and those boys, but he looked phenomenal on Friday afternoon, hanging tough after some tough hits, still throwing 5 touchdowns in that ball game. Did a great job there. The defense flying around, Jake Good and Will Margee and those guys really getting after it. Coach Hatfield does a phenomenal job. We talked to him and Tucker Hendricks and Jackson after the ball game. Those interviews are on all of our social pages as well. Just a really fun team to follow, man. We talk about Johnsonville winning Lower State twice in a row. These guys won the state title twice in a row, so that's super impressive and something that, Christ Church had a really good program. Several years back, they won however many state titles in a row, had that huge winning streak and all that stuff under Coach Frost, I believe it was, Jerel. After that, they kind of fell on some hard times. Like, they weren't playing that level of football until Coach Hatfield got there. He's really built that program back up and built something special there. And, I don't know where they're going to be next year as far as classification goes, but they've got some playmakers. They're going to be competitive, and I can't wait to see what those boys can do. That's been a fun program to follow the last couple of years for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, catching up with them after the game, like you said, and watching their season. I mean, they just took care of business most weeks and very efficient. You just tell, well coached. They work hard, they get after it. They don't make mistakes. They're not going to beat themselves. You got to go out and take it to them. And just was not the ideal matchup this week. But again, hats off to Johnsonville, man. A fantastic program. Like you said, Malik Shippey, Neil Martin, Travis Wilson, those guys, man, a lot of fun to keep up with them. Would have liked to see that fumble stay live, though, just to see, maybe a glimmer of hope. But obviously, I don't think the outcome would have been different. But it would have been, nice to see that play out a little bit. But, it is what it is. Congrats to the Cavs, man. They get it done. And Jackson Rep, man, I can't say enough about him, man. That was a performance that he put on, and he is, a fantastic football player. Can't wait to see him, next year and, the type of season, they got the chemistry with my cousin Tucker already, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that tandem, next season.
Yeah, great to get to talk to Coach Ramey and Coach Tolbert and Coach Richburg and Coach Jackson, obviously Coach Hatfield at the ball game. Great to talk to those guys, Brandon Coley as well. And on the Johnsonville side, Coach Baxley, great to meet him for the game. So a lot of good friends on both sides there, Jerel. But let's look up now at the 5A game, the nightcap on Friday, the 8 p.m. kick, a region rematch here, Dutch Fork and White Knoll. White Knoll got the best of Dutch Fork in the regular season 17-14, but Coach Knott's boys were on the greatest story ever tour here. And, it came to a head on Friday night. They get the ball first, drive down, a 26-yard field goal by Justin Welch is no good. 6:17 left. And, you're not going to have a whole lot of highlights in this game, Joe, because really it was a defensive masterclass on both sides. White Knoll, they score first, 1:38 left in the first quarter. When Dutch Fork decides to go for it on 4th and short, quarterback John Hunt's not ready. Snap ends up being, going past him, kicks in the end zone, and White Knoll's Lincoln Ayunga falls on it. Extra point, no good. White Knoll goes up 6-0. That's the score at the end of the first quarter. White Knoll's Connor Burgess gets a pick early in the second quarter. They take over at their 28, 8:06 left. Can't do anything. We go to the half, 6-0. I mean, really no fireworks except for that fumble snap. It was just both defenses flying around, both offenses not being able to really, convert on any opportunities they had. But, man, it was a hard-hitting ball game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the defenses were really the story, especially early on, and it would continue throughout. I mean, we'll go through the numbers at the end of this game. I mean, just fantastic defense. And it was kind of refreshing for me. I like to see points. I like to see the scoreboard lit up. We would see it, on Saturday. But it was refreshing to see a good defensive struggle. Obviously, these are two programs very familiar with one another, two coaching staffs that are very familiar with one another. I mean, heck, Coach Pelham's son's on the other sideline. That's how familiar they are with one another. I mean, so, just saw some hard-hitting things. But the second half, you would see a little separation there. And, the teacher would take down the student this time.
White Knoll, they get the ball to start second half. They end up going 3 and out, but on third down, White Knoll had a receiver deep in the left sideline. He was open. He was behind the defense. Landon Sharp hits him. I think it may have been Cunningham, Drew. I'm not sure about that. Hits him. He cannot haul it in. It would have been a touchdown. I mean, and honestly, with the way this game was going, if you go up 13-0, that would have felt like a 5-score lead at that point. But he can't bring it in. They end up having to punt it away. Dutch Fork takes over at their 45. They end up driving down to get on the board here. It's kind of a momentum changer that drop touchdown was, it feels like. They capitalized with a 2-yard TD run by John Hunt. They go up 7-6, 6:53 left. They stop White Knoll again, get the ball back, score on another 2-yard run by John Hunt, go up 14-6, 1:05 left. That's the score at the end of the third quarter. White Knoll continues to kind of sputter on offense. A 4-yard touchdown by KJ Smith this time for Dutch Fork makes it 21-6, 6:03 left. And that was all she wrote. White Knoll really could not get anything going. They had one chance in the first half where they kind of drove the ball a little bit. But outside of that, I mean, I don't know if they crossed midfield more than one other time. I mean, they really struggled, had the drop touchdown, and Dutch Fork was able to win that 5A championship by 21-6. That score there, and that was their 7th state title in the past 8 seasons. Just the turnaround that Coach Knotts and the boys did this year from 2-5 to state title winners. Hashtag GSC, the greatest story ever, man. That's all you can really say.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing. It's a testament to like how good and how legendary of a coach Tom Knotts is. I mean, we think about that program. We think about him. He's got offensive stars every year. I mean, he's putting, guys at the next level. They're lighting up the scoreboard. This year changes the philosophy. They get it done on defense. Kevin, White Knoll had more punting yards than they had total yards of offense.
Yeah, I bet.
132 to 114. I mean, just an absolute, awesome defense performance. Got just enough offense. John Hunt, I mean, he's battled through a lot of adversity this year, starting with week 0 against Colquitt County, fracturing his collarbone, and just continued to battle. It's so hard, I can't imagine the pressure of being a quarterback at, White Knoll, or at Dutch Fork High School, under Coach Knotts. And he battled some adversity. Ethan Offing not available to play in this game, who had been the starter the majority of the year. And he comes in and gets enough done, makes some plays with his legs, hit some pass plays when he needed to. But I do, again, want to give a shout out to White Knoll. I mean, they didn't make it easy on those guys. I mean, we're talking about the defense on the Dutch Fork side. The White Knoll defense allowed 216 total yards. I mean, 81 on the ground, 135 through the air. They played a fantastic game. I mean, Domenico Banks. I mean, we've seen this guy twice in person. I want to talk about him for a second. I mean, we've seen him play D-line. I mean, he's lined up at tackle. He's lined up at end. I mean, I think he's playing weak side backer this week. I mean, just lighting guys, and he's not a small guy.
No.
He's a load, man, and just making plays, from sideline to sideline. Can't say enough about what Coach Pelham has done in such a short amount of time over there for that program. I don't think any coach coached harder than he did, for this game. I mean, he is sweating.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just a fantastic ball game if you like defense, a chess match, to say. And I really enjoyed it. I know some people probably didn't, but I loved it.
Guys flying around. Dutch Fork, you had Raleigh Salters with the big game. Tyler Jones, Deion Winsley, those guys getting after it. And then, like you mentioned for White Knoll, Lincoln Iyunga, Domenico Banks, Connor Burgess. I mean, just all over the field. Fantastic defensive ball game. But I do want to hit one more time on John Hunt, though, and what he's been through this season. The injuries, the adversity to come back in this game. And, even early in this ball game, he misses a couple guys we thought he should have hit. Him and Coach Knotts are having some deep discussions there on the sideline. There, we'll leave it at
talking about vacation plans.
Exactly. And he comes back the second half, hits some nice throws on some crossers, makes some big runs, a couple big touchdown runs. I mean, what he showed, the guts and heart he showed was super impressive. Really happy for him in that program, man. Really cool to see. We've got an interview with Coach Knotts on our social pages. He was great to talk to. He actually, officially knows Jerel now after that.
Yeah.
When you guys watch the interview, you'll get what we're saying there. But really cool
I want to thank him for that, because we called him at the end. I mean, obviously he's the biggest name in coaching in this state, one of the biggest name in the country in high school football. Taking time out for us after he, family. There's no telling how many reporters were there. This was Friday night, so being that close to Columbia as well with Dutch Fork, they're going to bring a lot of attention, a lot of media attention. So I want to just thank him for taking the time out to interview with us. Definitely made me laugh. In there, that was my fault. Rookie mistakes, not introducing myself before we started the camera.
I believe that. So I think this is right here, Jerel. That's 7 out of 8 now for Dutch Fork. 8 overall with Coach Knotts at the helm. I think that is his 15th total between North Carolina and South Carolina. Just unreal career for him, man. One of the best ever, no matter the state. I mean, probably one of the best ever in the country, honestly, with what he's done.
I would say, yeah.
Super, super impressive. But Dutch Fork, they win the 5A state title 21-6 over White Knoll. Let's give a quick shout out to some friends of the program, Jerel, before we look at that major Saturday of action that we had.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture wicking, quick drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row, very good polos.
We headed back to Oliver C. Dawson Stadium Saturday morning for a noon kick in the 4A state title between Westside and South Florence. Jerel, a game that I think we all picked South Florence in, man, and we were all dead wrong about that one.
Yeah.
Westside, one thing that I loved, and we'll get into it here as we go through the game, but people were saying all year long that, South Florence, such a great defense. Nobody can score on them. They're going to run down your throat. They're big and physical. Westside comes out. They take the ball, and they score in 51 seconds. They hit a nice play, the first play to Jamar Tank Boston, a 54, 55-yard pass right there from Woods to Boston. End up capping off with a 1-yard TD run by D. Robertson. Go up 7-0, 11:09 left. South Florence, no panic in those guys. A 90-yard drive capped by a 5-yard run by Cyree Livingston. They go up tied up 7-7, 8:11 left. On the ensuing kickoff, Josh Williams hit, fumbles. Cameron Coe recovers for the Bruins. They get the ball to plus 19. They score quickly. A 5-yarder by Zion Gilbert. They convert a 4th and 1 the previous play. They go up 14-7, 5:34 left. On the next drive, I think it's maybe the first or second play, Woods gets intercepted by Brian Brownlee. He returns it back to the 5-yard line. They score again, a 5-yarder by Cyree Livingston. They go up 20-7, 5:09 left. Extra point, no good. Definitely remember that, guys. That's plays a big part in the game. But at 20-7, we look over at each other, Jerel. We're like, this might be curtains already.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about a preview show. We said the 2 points that we tried to hammer home were, Westside needs to get out to an early lead. And Westside's going to have to stop the run if they want any sort of chance in this game. And I don't think we could be more wrong when you look at what happened in this football game. Them going 20-7, I was like, there's no way that Westside's going to be competitive, much less have an opportunity to win this football game. Like you said, no panic. I mean, I don't know why we've doubted the Rams all year. We have, but not anymore.
Early in the second quarter, an 85-yard drive by the Rams, capped off with a 70-yarder by Sherrod Richardson. He can go, Jerel. He can flat out fly.
Yes.
Makes 20-14, 10:39 left. And on the ensuing kickoff, Quincy Rhodes has a nice return, but he's hit late and fumbles. Westside's Nori Belton recovers at their 42. They drive a little bit, get to 4th and 7 from the 12. Cutter Woods hits Josh Williams wide open, middle of the end zone, kind of a post route, but he can't bring it in. 6:02 left. South Florence goes on a big drive after that 4th down miss. A 19-yarder by Riley Jett caps it off. The 2-point run, no good. Makes it 26-14. 3:30 left the second quarter. Cutter Woods and the Rams answer back, though. A 3-yard run by Cutter Woods. They make it 26-20 with 20 seconds left in the second quarter. And that is the score at halftime. An absolute, thriller already, shootout already at 26-20. And it was a game, Jerel, where it felt like both teams weren't playing their best, maybe, but they were making big plays. You look at the Rhodes fumble for South Florence. You look at the Williams fumble and the Williams drop for Westside, but both teams kept showing up when they had to kind of keep their team in the game and, make it a great ball game there for a half already.
That's the beauty of having an offense and playmakers, that Westside has, the quick strike ability, to score at any time or to have a drive that is short, where they can just get down the field in 3-4 plays, just a handful of plays. And, they're right back in it. That turnover on the kickoff by Quincy Rhodes was such a pivotal moment in this football game. Because it seemed like, if they get the ball on plus side, they're going to go in. You mentioned the extra point. I mean, we'll talk about that later. But just, I was so impressed with the resiliency and like the poise of Westside. We saw it early in the first half. I mean, you talked about Josh Williams dropping the touchdown pass after already fumbling in the game. One of the coolest things to see, you see Coach Lane go up to him. I think other people did as well on that sideline, but he shared a moment with Coach Lane, where he's just expressing to him, we need you, you got to shake that off. There's a lot of football left to be played. And that is a moment that's been seared into my memory, a head coach going out of his way, to make sure, one of his pivotal playmakers, understands that like, we still have trust in you. We still need you. And you're going to help us win this football game. That was really special to see.
Starting the third quarter, we had the second moment where we kind of thought it might have been game over here. And that's South Florence. They marched on a 6-minute and 39-second drive to start the second half. They cap it off with a 4-yard TD run by Cyree Livingston, his third TD of the game. 2-point run is no good, but the score, 32-20 with 5:21 left. Westside had shown no potential to really stop those guys. We thought that South Florence was going to keep scoring, but Westside, man, they kept battling. They actually drive down. They have a 4th down conversion on a pass to Williams, a heck of a catch from Woods as he's rolling route. A rolling right, he throws it out. Williams just dives and makes a great hands catch there. They get to a 4th and 13. Pass is complete, but they mark him just short. South Florence takes over 1:45 left in the third quarter. And this was the game, the play that I think really got Westside back in it, Jerel. South Florence, they go 3 and out there. They line up to punt. The snap hits the up man. Westside falls on the plus 17. So they get the ball there basically to start the fourth quarter. They end up capping off that drive, a 14-yarder from Woods to Williams to make it 32-27. 9:48 left. Had a heck of a ball game, a one-score game. They completed another 4th down on that drive, a pass to Evans, I think down to the 3 or whatever before getting backed up there. But this was really a key moment here on this following drive by South Florence, their last drive of the game. They convert 1 4th down. They get the ball to 4th and 2 from, I think, the plus 47. They line up to go for it, have a false start. Makes it 4th and 7 from their 48. They decide to punt. And I think that is a game changer there, Drew, because if they don't get the false start, they're going to go for it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're probably going to get it with what we had seen throughout the ball game. And that would have been a ball game. It would have ran the timeout. But instead, to get that false start, South Florence has to punt. And not a great snap on the punt. That's 2 bad snaps in a row there. It kind of rolls or short hops back to Quincy Rhodes. He corrals it.
It skipped back there. It skipped. Yeah,
he
it
gets
was
a
terrible.
great punt away, down to the Rams 22 with 2:44 left. And that's when they go to work. They have a couple nice runs from Cutter Woods to get some yards there. They get a late hit, I believe, on 1 point to kind of get them down there. But the play of that drive, 4th and 1 from their 45. They go Wildcat, which they not going Wildcat all game long. Completely caught me off guard. They snap it to Marco Evans. He fumbles the snap. Is able to gather it, roll, and kind of toss up a high floater in the air. It was an RPO call actually as well, but he throws it up. McClintock able to come down with it for the first down at the plus 45. 1:56 left. And at that point, we're kind of like, you know what, Westside, they may be a team of destiny here because that should not have gone the way it did, but it certainly worked out for the Rams there.
Dude, when I saw Cutter Woods go in motion, I was like, what is happening? Like what are we doing here? But yeah, it was just like you said, that ball's in the air. It was like watching a Rookie of the Year, when Henry Rowengartner, when he slips on the rosin bag and then his arms fix and he's got to do the floater like his mom. That's how the ball looked, with the dramatic effect, but just credit, they just kept making plays. And that's why they're state champs.
Yeah, next play, Woods scrambles, gets hit late out of bounds, get a flag. Ball gets pushed down to the plus 25. Next play, he runs down to the 19, out of bounds. South Lawrence calls a timeout to kind of, regroup themselves. Big play here. They call a nickel blitz or a corner blitz. Amari Reeves gets a sack. Back to the 26, 114, clock running. Woods able to hit Williams to the 17, makes it 4th and 2, 33 seconds left. Williams goes down with an injury. He had been cramping all game. That was ends up working out great for Westside, gives them some time there. And then on the next play, 4th and 2, they don't just get the first down, Jerel. They get it all. A 17-yarder from Cutter Woods to Jamar Boston. They go up 34-32, 15 seconds left. They hit him kind of on like a little deep post route in between some defenders. He catches it and runs in the end zone. And the Rams take their first, I guess not first lead, but the first lead since the second drive of the game. Unreal play there. As we ended up, we actually did talk about the ending because it got kind of catchy or kind of scary there for a second. We had a short kick, South Lawrence ball at the 13. On the final play, quarterback Jackson actually rolls out right. The receiver gets behind the defenders. He throws it, hits him in stride. He drops it. But we had a flag for an illegal shift anyway, so it wasn't accounted, but a heck of a play. And Westside ends up defeating South Lawrence 34-32 to become your 4A state champs.
Yeah.
I'm kind of speechless. It's one of those.
Yeah. Like I don't know, man. They just got it done. I mean, there's no explaining it. Their playmakers made the plays. Their defense did just enough. The ball bounced their way a couple times in the second half. Who knew, man? Like you said, the second time that we thought the football game was in South Lawrence's favor would be the last time that they would score in the football game. Yeah. I mean, they go on that 6-minute drive. I mean, just methodical, just ran it down their throats. You think, man, they've found something out of the half. They've made adjustments. They have, Westside hasn't stopped the run all game. They're going to continue to do this. They wouldn't sniff scoring again, the rest of the game. The Westside defense, they just stood tall. I mean, they just made plays. It makes it a little bit easier when you're one-dimensional like that and you know what's coming at you, but you still have to stop it. You still have to, be able to, bow your necks and get in there and make those plays. And they did it. And then when you have firepower like they do on offense, with Richardson, Evans, Williams, Boston, and Cutter Woods slinging the football, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not the best quarterback in the state, regardless of class. I mean, you always have a chance. And kudos to that Westside staff. Kudos to that fan base. They have not won a state title since 1969. They have definitely been partying like it on social media. But to the victor, go the spoils. And they should, just because no one counted them, even me. Like, I thought they had no shot. We saw them play earlier this year against Greenwood. It took a miraculous, fumble recovery and late touchdown score, for them to beat Greenwood in a region game at home, a few weeks ago. And here they are, state title. We got to say their name, state champs. What a job by Coach Lane and the staff there.
First year for Coach Lane, takes his program to a state title, man. Super impressive. A program that you feel like has always had talent, always had playmakers, couldn't quite get to that level. For him to come in one season and be able to do that, really cool to see. Can't wait to see what he's going to do with that program from here forward, man, because they, like I said, they always got talent, man. He could build a powerhouse there for sure in Anderson, it feels like. But yeah, you mentioned the fans. Great crowd on both sides, both teams. It brought a ton of fans from the community, a great atmosphere, maybe the best one of the weekend, honestly, as far as the team.
I would say,
everything, yeah.
And that game was at noon.
Yeah.
And it's not like these two locations, these two areas where these fans are coming from. They're going to Orangeburg. That's not necessarily close for both of these guys to get there. So they were there early. They were there loud and very proud. And, on both sides, it was awesome. But I just, just still kind of speechless that Westside was able to get it done. A team that we never ranked in our top 5, like never sniffed our top 5, to be honest, because of, how top heavy it was in 4A the majority of the year with undefeated teams and that juggernaut of Northwestern. And, Westside just, flew under the radar, like Coach Lane said, and swooped in, and they got the big trophy up there in Anderson.
That's right. They played some great football on Saturday. It was super impressive to see them keep fighting back. And this time of year, Jerel, when you get in a state title game and in the playoffs in general, your playmakers have to make plays, and their guys did, whether it was Woods or Boston or Williams. They came up big time and time again on Saturday, and really neat to see. On the South Florence side, 29-game winning streak, man. Super impressive what they've been able to do under Coach Marlowe. They will be back. They've got a great program there now. It's not just a team. I think it's a program. They're going to be there for a long time. A lot of great players still over there. Certainly, we'll miss watching Cyree and Quincy and some of those guys, of course. But they got some great guys coming back with Zion Gilbert and Amari Adams and some other studs as well. So
they'll get Jaden Sellers back, or they lost
Jaden Sellers back as well. So there'll be a player. But Westside, Cutter Woods, he's got another year. He'll be right there. And like I said, they're going to find some athletes outside. I know Sherrod Richardson's back as well. So just can't say enough about what Coach Lane and that squad did there this year, and a program that's always been great to us. Coach, AD Jeremy West invited us to the press conference for Coach Lane, went to that, and was able to see that and get to meet those guys and to see them now win a state title. It's really cool. So hats off to Westside as they claim the 2023 4A state title. Drew, let's move now to if that wasn't the game of the weekend, this one was, and that was the nightcap, the 3A matchup, 7 o'clock on Saturday night. We had Daniel and Camden getting after it, a rematch of the 2020 and 2021 state title games. This one, a lot closer than those two. This one, a lot of scoring as well. Neither team could really stop each other. Colton Chapman comes right out of the gate, puts Daniel up 7 over the 2-yard touchdown by 8:47 left. Bulldogs come right back, 36-yarder from Ja Mayrant, makes it 7-all, 6:44 left. Colton Chapman again, 8-yarder this time, 14-7 Daniel, 4:40 left. And that's a score at the end of the first quarter. Camden, 7-yard run by Grayson White, makes it 14-all, 10:03 left. 36-yarder from Jakari Bennett on 4th and 1, makes it 21-14 Daniel, 3 for 3 with touchdown drives at that point, 8:06 left. Camden, they blink first. A 51-yard pick six by Tremaine Davis makes it 28-14 Daniel, 6:47 left. Camden, they're rolling on the next drive. Get to a 4th and 14, and one of the craziest, coolest fake punts I've seen, Jerel, is run here on this one. They snap it to the up back, who's Grayson White, the quarterback. He turns around and throws it backwards to the punter, Harriet, who then throws it out wide, I think, to Wilson Nash, who catches it falling to his back right at the 6 for a first down. They end up scoring a touchdown, an 11-yarder from Mayrant to make it 28-21, and that is the score at the half. We thought, you know what, hey, Camden got a late score. They're going to get the ball to start second half. They'll come out tied up with a ball game. Daniel had other ideas. The first play of the second half, Isaac Turner for the Lions gets a pick off of a tipped ball. They get the ball to plus 27, capitalized right away, a 22-yarder from Jakari Bennett. They go up 35-21, 10:40 left. Camden, though, they keep answering a 1-yarder from Grayson White, 35-28, 5:33 left. The one time this ball game Daniel gets stopped, Jerel, it's a 4th and 1. Quarterback Colton Chapman, he gets it, but he's hit and he fumbles. Camden has JoJo Krim on the recovery. They get the ball at their 24. That's the score at the end of the third quarter, 35-28. We actually have another interception. I forgot about this one. Jason Bish gets a pick in the end zone on the 4th down play. They get the ball at the 20, 10:32 left. They score a touchdown, a 35-yarder from Jakari Bennett, makes it 42-28. A 2-score lead with 7:04 left. Camden, another hell of a special teams play here. You get a throwback pass on the kickoff return. I think it was Harriet to Ja Mayrant. He ends up taking it to the house to make it 42-34. Extra point, no good. 6:49 left in the fourth quarter. And they had to have that drill because, time was an issue, of course. They needed a spark, and that play pop for them was really cool to see there. Daniel, they get the ball 4th and short. They run a quarterback sneak. The ball kind of got up into Chapman's body a little bit. He wasn't able to really get pushed forward. Camden stuffs it. They get the ball to plus 46, 4:44 left. They end up scoring a 1-yard TD run by Grayson White. They run a 2-point play. They get it. A 2-point run by Grayson White makes it 42-all with 129 left in the ball game. Daniel, they have one last chance, one last gasp to win it in regulation. They move it down to the 44-yard line. 30 seconds left. They get it down to the 29-yard line after a Jakari Bennett run. They spike it 12 seconds left. They line up to kick a field goal. A 51-yarder, I believe it was, by Bruce Brown after a penalty. Comes up way short. Not sure if it was blocked or not, Jerel. But we go to overtime with that score. 42-all. I mean, just a heck of a ball game. Couldn't ask for much more there in the nightcap.
Yeah, I mean, we saved the best for last. I mean, just action from start to finish. One punt in this game was an absolute bomb, by the way. Special teams plays. You saw defensive plays. I mean, you saw big-time offense. I mean, we got a little bit of everything in this football game. Just so much fun to watch. I'm contemplating. I got to watch it again because I feel like the majority of the game, my mouth was dragging along the sideline, just wondering who was going to make another big play. Just huge offensive swings, momentum swings on both sides, man. Just so much fun. And then into overtime. I mean, just an absolute thriller. There's no better way for this game to end than the way it did.
For sure. Camden wins the toss in overtime. They decide to play defense first. Daniel, they get down to a 4th and 6, 4th and goal from the 6. They call a timeout to think about it. They go for it. They convert. A touchdown pass, Chapman to Jason Bish, makes it 49-42. Gutsy call by Coach Frooster there. And you hear Chapman talk about after the ball game, kind of ran a pick play there, something they've been working on all week long, and it works. To start Camden's drive, you get a 5-yard penalty. I think it was an offside because of the helmet or mouthpiece issue. You get offside there. The first play, John Mayrant, 5-yard TD run, make it 49-48. They end up going for 2. I think everybody in the building knew what was coming, Jerel. A run up the middle by Grayson White. And Daniel stuffs it. Ty Plumlee steps in the hole, meets him there, stops him a yard short. The Lions win the ball game 49-48 to win the 3A state title, Jerel. An unbelievable football game. I know Coach Remth has caught some flack for going for it. I think I would have gone for it as well. I don't blame, I don't mind that call at all. So you got some folks complaining about the play call as well. I thought it was a fine play call. It already worked once, on a 2-point conversion. This time the guy makes a play. I mean, that's all you can say. I mean, it was a heck of a ball game and heck of a play by Plumlee. Just a fantastic game. Just so much I could say because I feel like it was just a great, great ball game.
Yeah, anybody giving, Coach Remth flack for going for it there, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that was the right call, I feel like, in the moment. I mean, you score. I mean, it's a win or a loss. Like if it's the greatest call ever, if you score, it's the worst call ever if you don't get in, as they didn't. And then also, I don't have an issue with the play. You put the ball in your best player's hands at the end of the game. Yeah. I mean, there's no issue with that. But people are talking about that play call. What about Coach Frooster? And I've glossed over it until yesterday, going for it on 4th and, not 4th and 6. 4th and goal from the 6, to give his team a chance to win the game. How gutsy was that? Because if they don't get in, because I was yelling the entire time, take the points, take the points, take the points. If you don't get in, it's over. I mean, because at that point, I mean, what is it, a 27-yard field goal if you don't get any yards whatsoever? I mean, what a play call by him to trust his guys and get in there and man, just a fantastic football game. I mean, every kid who had a jersey on, who checked into that game, left everything they had, on the field there. I can't think of a better way to end championship weekend than that. I'll tell you, Kev, in my head, I just saw Grayson White, like that comeback. Like I just saw him getting it in there. But the Daniel Lions, much like Dutch Fork, they just can't be stopped. The senior class, Kev, 51-1. I mean, they put out, the Daniel Lions account, they put out a graphic about the, achievements of the senior class, what they've been able to do in region, regular season. I mean, these guys lost one game, to Powdersville, who would play for the state title on a 2-point play. that some would say was questionable if he got in or not. I mean, that's how good this football program is and how good that senior class was. What a legacy, Kev. I can't imagine, 3 state titles, and I know the Camden folks, they probably want to ride up to Central and do something bad to the school or something, egg the school, taking away 3 state titles, in the process because they matched up each and every time. But whale of a game, great execution. The kids just so much effort. Like you said, the special teams plays were beyond special, and I can't say enough about the playmakers on each side of the ball, man. Just so much fun. I'm gonna have to watch it again, Kev.
Yeah, Coach Rimp certainly in his special teams bag on Saturday, making some great play calls there with those fakes and whatnot. But you mentioned guys laying it all on the line. I mean, nothing encapsulate that's more than what Ty Plumlee did. He gets injured. The linebacker for Daniel has his shoulder pop out, shoulder get dislocated. They pop it back in. He goes back in, and he's the guy that makes the stop on 2-point conversion, stuffing Grayson White in the hole there, man. A big boy coming at you. Heck of a play by Plumlee there, because that's what you really draw the play up to be, Jerel. There's always going to be probably an unblocked defender. It's going to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
You got to hope that you make a guy miss or he can't tackle or whatever. You get that situation, and Plumlee just makes the play for Daniel. I mean, that's as simple as that. I mean, hell of a play by him, man. But you mentioned the playmakers, man. Colton Chapman, fantastic game. Jakari Bennett, great game. Plumlee and the other guys on defense for Daniel there, made plays when they had to. Very opportunistic. Tremaine Davis to pick 6. A couple other picks in that ballgame. They scored every time. I think it was 21 points off turnovers there. Great job. And also the stop there on the 2-point conversion. On the Camden side, Grayson White, great ballgame. Job Mayrant, fantastic play there. Just a great all-around ball game, man. You hate that somebody had to lose that one, but Daniel, they do it again, man. They win the 3A state title 49-48 in overtime. Drill. Any other thoughts on that ball game?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank Coach Rimp for going for 2 there, because they still might be playing. I pulled up the stats again, man. Looking at these numbers, look how evenly matched these teams are. I mean, rush yards 279 to Camden's 295. They had the same amount of passing yards, 130 to 130. Total yards, 109 for Daniel to 125 for Camden. I mean, yards per play, like I said, 1 punt in this game. 3rd and 4th down efficiency, dang near the same. The only big discrepancy was time of possession. And the biggest thing there is because, Daniel just hit a few more big plays, and they had the pick 6, obviously. They had the turnovers in general, led to a short field, and then obviously the pick 6. But just 2 evenly matched teams. I mean, 2 of the best coaches in the state. We talked about 3A being an absolute dogfight. You could just see it shaping up, middle of the season, and it was throughout these playoffs. And what a way to cap off, 3A than an absolute stunner with these 2, prestigious programs laying it on the line and going into overtime with a 1-point win.
Fantastic stuff. We talked to Jason Bish, Colton Chapman, and Coach Frooster after the ball game. Those are on our social media pages. Great to see those guys. Great to see our buddy Nathan before the game as well. Talked to Daniel football with him. That was really cool, man. Just a fantastic.
Kev, I got to stop you. We're not allowed, the last 3 games, we're not allowed to cover Daniel anymore. The last 3 games, we've been there. Obviously Powdersville, that questionable, situation there. The one game they've lost in 4 years.
Yep.
We had BHP last week where they squeak out a win, 5-point victory, recovering a fumble at the 3-yard line with a minute left in the game. And then obviously this one.
Yeah, a lot of great thrillers there. We've seen the Lions play the last couple of years. That's for sure. But, yeah, Daniel wins it 49-48 in overtime to cap off our weekend of champions. Jerel, let's look now at our playoff performers. If you want to get that stuff pulled up, we'll go through that list of guys that had great performances in the state title games. This is brought to you by the Georgia Agency. Open enrollment is here. Check them out at georgiaagency.net for all your needs. Richard, Wayne, Brownie, and the crew, whether you're a seasonal worker, a part-time worker, maybe you need insurance, you don't get through your company, give them a call. Or if you're a small business owner, you need some group insurance, they can help you out with that as well. So the georgiaagency.net, check them out for all of your insurance needs. Jerel, let's look at our playoff performers from the weekend of champions.
For sure, we start off with the boys at Oceanside. Aiden Manavian goes 21 for 43 for 367 and 2 touchdowns. Gavin Gaspar, the receiver there, had 8 catches for 125, 2 touchdowns. And Will Virgilio, 7 catches for 91 yards and 2 rushing TDs. On the Gray side, you had Kane Williams with 9 tackles, 1 TFL. Mo Singleton had 4 tackles. Kev, is this a typo? 9 sacks?
That's what I've seen. I got to check. I know they had about 10 or 12 as a team, so he might have had all of them. I don't know.
If this man had 9 sacks in a game, I mean, that's fantastic there. We'll go back in the records. We maybe start off next season once we get some better verification on that one. Miles Robinson, the absolute thumper linebacker there from Oceanside, had 8 tackles and 2 TFLs. Max Mormon, probably the play of the game, maybe arguably the play of the year from Oceanside. The DN there had 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, and that pick 6. Tucker Hendricks out of Christchurch, quarterback, goes 9 for 11, efficient, 9 completions, 5 touchdowns, 242 yards. Deshaun Reeder, the running back there, had 13 carries for 125 and a touchdown. Also had 1 catch on the screen pass there. It goes 66 for another touchdown. Jackson Rep, man, just doing it all. 5 catches for 104 and a touchdown. Also had a rushing TD and a 60-yard punt return touchdown. Jude Hall had 3 catches for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's an impressive player there. Really
just
can go up and get it
as well.
Really can go up and get it. He's only going to get better. Neil Martin from Johnsonville, 19 totes for 100 yards, 2 TDs, also 3 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss. Jake Good out of Christchurch, 11 tackles, 1.5 TFLs. John Hutt, the Dutch Fork quarterback, goes 13 of 20 for 135. Also had 23 rush yards and 2 rushing TDs. Raleigh Salters from Dutch Fork, another sophomore, 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a PBU. Lincoln Ayunga had 11 tackles. The stud defensive player out of White Knoll, 11 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown, and a pass breakup. Domenico Banks out of White Knoll, 11 tackles, 1 PBU. Cutter Woods, the slinger from Westside, gunslinger from Westside, 17 of 27, 238, 2 TDs, also had 19 rushing yards and another TD. Jamar Tank Boston at 6 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown, the game winner. Also had 3 tackles and a half TFL. One of those tackles, he runs down Zion Gilbert from about 50 yards.
Yeah.
One of the most impressive plays you will see. A great effort play for him. Had Josh Williams, Westside, cramping up the entire game. 6 catches for 92 yards and a TD. Zion Gilbert, huge game. South Florida running back, goes 21 carries for 207 and a TD. Would have had 2 if he wouldn't have got hawked down. Cyree Livingston, South Florence, had 17 carries for 82 yards and 3 touchdowns out of the Wildcat there. Zeke Marshall from Westside had 11 tackles. That defense was fantastic, especially in that second half. Brian Brownlee out of South Florence, 10 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a pick. Colton Chapman, the quarterback at Daniel, fantastic player there. Went 13 of 18 for 130 and a touchdown, including the game winner there in overtime. Had 18 carries, a lot of these scrambles, man, where he got 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jakari Bennett got loose after being bottled up against BHP. The Daniel running back goes 13 carries for 145 and 3 touchdowns. Grayson White, absolute athlete, goes 10 of 16 for 116. Also had 22 totes for 103 and 3 touchdowns. I think he had some defensive stats. He had a couple pass rushing situations as well. John Mayrant from Camden had 10 rushes for 103 and 3 TDs.
And the kickoff return touchdown as well for Ja.
Yep, he did have that kickoff return touchdown. Man, fantastic play there. Ben Joplin from Daniel, 10 tackles. Tremaine Davis, Daniel, had 5 tackles, a half tackle for loss, 2 picks, including that very pivotal pick 6 of Grayson White. Ty Plumley, talked about the linebacker there from Daniel, had 8 tackles, including the huge 2-point conversion stop there in that overtime, which was the difference in that game. And Wilson Nash at Camden, 8 tackles. Man, just so many great performances by these guys this past weekend down in Orangeburg, man. Just so much fun to keep up with the stats. I love the numbers. I love the stats. So congratulations to all those guys. I know some of them are very happy, but nonetheless had some great individual performances.
Yeah, those are our playoff performers brought to you by the George Agency. Let's give another quick shout out to our friends of the program before we look it down at our Folly Row question.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more. So wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Our last Folly Row question of the season, Jerel. What was your main takeaway or just maybe main thought from the weekend of champions here in 2023?
You know me, I'm long-winded, so we'll go thoughts, plural. Number one, just a great facility, man. Just I really enjoyed the hospitality there that we got down in Orangeburg. Met some good people there. It was great catching up with other members of the media that, cover the sport as well. Kind of like a little family reunion type deal there. The crowds, man, we saw some fantastic crowds. These schools obviously playing for state championships, they showed up in droves, a little bit further away, especially for those upstate schools. But we saw some fantastic crowds just that were in it most of the game. Even Johnsonville, I mean, the game there, it's not going their way, and their crowd was in it the entire time. And just can't believe, I won't say can't believe. That's a bad way to phrase it. But I'm mind blown at the performances that we saw, both individually and collectively, from some of these teams. I mean, just high level, top notch execution. We saw college coaches on the sideline. We need to see more. Get out there and offer these guys that play football in this state, because they are so talented. I mean, there's no reason why these guys shouldn't be filling up rosters, not just in the state with our colleges, but across the Southeast and the country, because these guys, man, they just really get after it. It is special to see some of these performers, might not have all the measurables, might not have the 40 times, might not show up to all your combines and all that crap, but they play football. It's really fun. That's part of the reason why we do it, to shine a light on these guys. And every time I see it, mind blown at how good some of these kids are. You see a situation like Jackson Rep, shorter size, doesn't have all the, size and, all the height, but I mean, just an absolute stud football player. Saw that on display, but that's probably my biggest takeaway. Just how good some of these players were, how good some of these teams were, these decisions that some of our coaches made was fantastic. But Kev, I'll throw it back to you. What is your main thought from this weekend, down in Orangeburg?
I think it's kind of to echo what you're saying, but a little bit differently, Jerel. And I think what I noticed and what I've kind of seen throughout this playoffs really is that I think the state of South Carolina, we've always had a lot of talent, a lot of really good players, a lot of really good teams. But I think we are getting more and more high-level teams, if that makes sense. We've had years in the past where 3 or 4, even all the state title games were just blowouts. And that's not the case anymore. You've got some really elite football at every level. I mean, we talked about it on our playoff preview show. We did the little exercise where we could say how many teams could win state. And I think for each class, we all had a solid 4, 5, 6, 7, even had an 8 or a 9 number on some classes. I think that the level of South Carolina football has gotten even better. I mean, it's even increasing, year after year. We got some great coaches, some great investments from different districts and different, fan bases and communities. And I think that the top level of South Carolina football is becoming more and more crowded. It used to be Dutch Fork was the runaway guy, and that was it. But now you got teams like White Knoll that are right there, and Somerville's making to come back. And you look at, even what Hillcrest and JL Man out of Greenville did at the 5A level. So many teams now are competing and playing really good football. It's neat to see how much talent and how many good coaches and just good programs we have now in our state, I feel like.
Yeah, man, the amount of parity, like you said, like the talent is spread across the state. You mentioned got 2, Greenville County schools, playing at high levels, into the third round of the playoffs, JL Man going toe-to-toe with Dutch Fork. I mean, it took a miraculous comeback for JL Man to not be playing in the 5A state title game. The investments in the Low Country. I mean, you look at those programs. You see Oceanside, Philip Simmons, Somerville appears to be back. Ashley Ridge is doing great things. Goose Creek, Berkeley. Berkeley's definitely going to be back. You got to watch out for them the next couple of years. Obviously there's a lot of talent in the Midlands, that CSRA region. I mean, just so much good football, and not just individually, collectively, the coaching, the commitments from these programs, these administrations. Just it's really awesome to see, and we see it, every Friday night, and we get to go see these facilities and everything like that. I know we'll probably do a state of the state, sometime in the near future, and I think that's one of the things that we'll definitely have to talk about is the investment, both in the people and the facilities that these districts and administrators are putting into these schools.
Really, really awesome to see. But Jerel, that caps off a fantastic weekend of champions. A new venue down there at South Carolina State, Oliver C. Dawson Stadium.
Yeah,
first time being down there. We had a great time. We stayed not in Orangeburg, but driving distance there each weekend.
Yeah.
Went to all 5 games. Had a great lunch on Friday at Duke's Barbecue in Orangeburg.
Ooh.
Fantastic buffet there. If you guys haven't been, that'll be great. We'll probably have a food review coming out about that, as well as concessions at the state title game as well. So really fun to get down there. I do want to give a couple shout outs. I did this on Tuesday's show, our live show. Some of the guys that we saw down there that we got to talk to, like Jeremy from Gray, Joseph Soul from Gray, Melanie Legger, Malik Shippey's mom, Jessica, Kenny Baxley, Jackson Rep's dad, Coach Tolbert, Ramey, Richie, Jackson, Coley, Coach Burris, Coach Howard, Coach Fiddler, RJ from Dutch Fork, RJ/Guapo, our video guy there, Maurice from GM Flow, Landon King and Brian King from SK, Scrocky Sports, Kurt in the Game, Win French at Dutch Fork, Laurie Rose, Quincy's mom, Keith Pearson at Westside, 80 Jeremy West, Cam Behind the Cam, Jack the Longchamps, Stephen Nimmer, Nathan Dodson, KD from Daniel, Blue Marble Images. I mean, the list goes on. So many different folks that we got to connect with that maybe either we had met before or hadn't met before, but it was nothing cooler, Drill, than us walking around. I think I said it, yesterday that we got called the TikTok guys, the TV guys, the radio guys. I mean, just, moving the chains. What do y'all do? I mean, super cool to meet a lot of you guys and getting to kind of grow our community. Was a lot of fun last weekend.
Yeah, a couple more Daniel people, Beth, who works in the athletic department there. Big thanks to her. We caught up with her again at the state title after, we got access, to go to the game in the upper state. I want to give a shout out to her. Coach Ellison, it's funny. I know some of you know that I'm at Clemson right now. Coach Ellison, the defensive coordinator at Daniel High School, is actually a professor for one of my classes at Clemson. So it was cool to actually meet him. It's an online course, so it was cool to meet him in person. And Mr. 3000, I forgot to bring this up.
Not put that on the list.
Mr. 3000, we saw KZ Adams, on Thursday. He was there supporting his Gray Collegiate War Eagles. He's looking for a new home. In the transfer portal there, but one of the best players to touch grass or turf in the state of South Carolina. It was good to catch up with him. It's the funniest thing, man. We don't think people are watching or keeping up with our stuff. KZ's 2 years removed. He's asking us, have we had a hot dog yet?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun, and I wish him well as he, continues his college career. One of my favorites to keep up with as we've been doing this.
A couple more names I just thought about. Coach Ramon Robinson. Great to see him down there.
Yes.
Lenore Sellers as well. Chatted with him on the sideline. We had obviously all the Clemson coaches, Coach Eason, Coach Goodwin, South Carolina, Coach Beamer and Coach Hardesty and Robertson and Step. Great crowd down there, man. Great to talk to everybody. I don't know how I forgot KZ. Great point there, man. We chatted with KZ. That was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed sitting with Coach Burris, Coach Howard, Coach Fiddler during that 5A game. Really need to catch up with those guys and talk with them. Was a lot of fun. And I do want to do this too, because I've done this each other state playoff, show, and I want you to hop into some of these seniors that are we've enjoyed watching. Guys from I guess we'll start on that great collegiate team with Lockett and Williams and those guys. Alford, Soul for sure. Oceanside, Ben Britton. They've got a lot of guys coming back, so they're not as senior heavy there. But he's one. Edward Reidenbach as well. 1A, obviously, Malik Shippey, Neil Martin, Travis Wilson, Deshaun Reeder was a guy we've watched for several years grow there for Christ Church. Up at the 5A game, John Hunt is one for sure. Tyler Jones is a guy as well. For White Knoll, Domenico Banks, a player of the week last year for us. Loved watching him. Jaden Kimball, Austin Cunningham, all those guys there. Down in the 4A game, obviously, you got Cyree Livingston. You got Quincy Rhodes, some big-time playmakers. I think Justin Joe graduates as well, Rodney Lassane, some fun guys to watch there for them. Chantuan Harkless. I mean, so many players on defense for that squad. Westside, Tank Boston, Josh Williams. I think Zeke Marshall's a senior. A lot of studs there. And then that 3A game, obviously, you can't not mention Grayson White. I mean, the guy, a football player. I've had so much fun covering him. Man, he's another guy that I hope somebody sees his talent, gives him a shot. He may not have the measurables, but the guy is a gamer. He's a winner. He gets it flat out done. Grayson White, John Mayrant, Avery Hickman, all Super 75 guys, all very deserving, all great football players there. Daniel, you got all their studs with Chapman and Plumlee and those guys who are moving on. But, man, a lot of fun covering these guys. Anybody I left out you can think about, Jerel, that may be going on next year?
Your memory's way better than mine, but just to all of them, man, just thank you, for giving us the opportunity to engage with you and cover your careers in high school. It's been so much fun. And like we've said previously, like if this is the end for you guys, man, I hope you enjoyed it. You took advantage, because those feelings never go away of wanting to play under those Friday night lights, regardless if you go to college or not to play ball. But we wish you all the best of luck in the future. We'll be turning the page, trying to find the next crew of guys to keep up with for these next few years. We saw some emerging stars, started off on Thursday, but wish those guys and their families, and even then the families too, you allow us, to cover your sons playing high school football. We appreciate all of the families, because all we want to do is shine a light on these great athletes in this state.
Yeah, and as always, get your Movin the Chains merch. We got hats, toboggans, sweatshirts, gray and white sweatshirts. We got, hoodies, actually, gray and black toboggans. We got all kind of Richardson hats, Yupong hats, all different colorways, gray and black, gray and kind of a cream. We got black on gray, some white and gray stuff, some really good stuff, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can also check out on our Facebook page. You can send us a message on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, whatever. We'll get you guys hooked up with some merch. Love to have you repping it and supporting the boys and helping us get our name out there, and also helping us buy better equipment for the show. Would certainly appreciate that. But I kind of kept saying this on Tuesday, and I hope people will understand and keep, following us throughout the offseason. We don't just quit doing this now that the season's over. I mean, we're going to have new coach interviews coming up. We're going to have our coaching carousel show, our, realignment show. When that drops, we'll have a show about that. Like you said, probably do some state of the state stuff with some of our friends from across the state as well, talking about some ball and just the kind of the state of the South Carolina high school football as a whole. So a lot of good stuff coming. So don't just tune us out or put us on.
Yeah, we got one more game to cover too. So
we do got the Shrine Bowl in 2 weeks. That'll be a lot of fun, man. I've like a lot of good videos and coverage from that as well. So definitely keep tuning into us. Don't just turn us off because the season's over, and don't try to come back in August. Hopefully you stay year round with the boys.
We're not going anywhere. We're in your algorithms now. So if you're tapped in, you're going to keep seeing it. So it is what it is at this point. But I know the biggest thing for me is we wrap this thing up, and I hate doing it, man. I'm sad. This is our last post game show of the year. Number one, I want to thank Folly Rowe for jumping on board this year. Please go hit those guys up. Show them some love, because they showed us love, taking a chance on us and supporting our podcast, which allowed us to be unprecedented. I mean, I don't know what the final tally is, but I know I traveled 15 out of 16 possible weeks this year. I went to go see my Clemson Tigers lose a game, as I always do on the road this season. But we don't get it done with great, partners like Folly Rowe and the other partners who support our show. But I want to thank them, and I want to thank Kev. Kev is the engine. He doesn't like when I do this, but he makes this thing go. So, if you see Kev, you give him a shout out first before you talk to any of us, especially John, because John sucks. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Love John. But give a shout out to Kev. Kev works so hard, to get this thing going. We do stuff, like you said, in the off season. We do a lot of interviews and things like that. But we really start cranking up in, I'd say June, getting prepared for the season. It is tough to try to cover all these teams, It's not easy, trying to come up with these names and these teams. And now we got transfers and all kinds of craziness that is athletics, not just on the college or pro level, but we do it because we love it. And the more you support us, the more we can get out. And we just appreciate you tuning in, from every like to a follow to subscription to anything. My long-winded closing, probably not listening at this point, but I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in.
And I appreciate that, Jerel, man. You've been such a lifesaver. Once you joined the team, you allowed us to do so much more stuff. And it's been a lot of fun going to ball games across the state with you. I can't wait to drop that road trip map here in the next week or so and show all the different places and teams we got to see this year, because it is a lot. We'll have that coming out along with our poll as well, man. We saw a lot of great action this year. So certainly thank you and John for what y'all did to help us grow this program. But you're exactly right, Jerel. And I hadn't been able to find the right words to kind of explain what I'm trying to say yet, but what we've built here, with the help of all the fans, it's like a community. It's not really, we are media, but we're not media like a TV station or a newspaper or, like a radio station where you don't get to interact with those guys, or if you do, it's very briefly. Like, we talk to you guys each and every week, probably multiple times, because you're probably on our Friday night spaces. You're probably on our preview show. You're commenting on our social media throughout the week, whatever it is. So we see you guys at ball games. It's like seeing old friends. I've got so many people I've met now through this that I consider a friend. I got their phone number. We text, we call, whatever. It's really neat to see the community that we've built. And it's really cool to see when you guys, so if we haven't met you guys, it's great to have y'all yell at us and us, get to shake your hand. And I always try to make a point of it. If somebody yells at us, Jerel, the first thing that you and I do is we go over there to them. Like, we're going to say, hey, we're going to shake your hand. We're going to talk to you. We're not just going to have you yell at us and us way back. We're going to go put a face with a name and really get to know you if we can.
Yeah, no big time over here because we're small time. So yeah, we just appreciate it. That it is sincere and genuine gratitude, because you don't have to listen, especially now, where you've got so many different distractions and you can do a lot of different things with your time. So we really appreciate it. And this is a long-winded closing because me and Kevin don't want to stop talking about high school football.
Right.
You think we talk about it on camera or on the podcast? We talk about it all the time. So really excited about, what happened in Orangeburg, bringing this 23 season to a close, but excited to get to work on the 24s, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, hitting up concession stands, getting these road trips, planned out, checking more stadiums off the list, and getting to meet, more people in more communities, and just getting to see the talent on the sidelines and on the field, and meeting all the fans in the stands.
Yeah, can't wait for 2024, man. As always, check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin the Chains, as always, is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas, and we will catch you guys soon.